What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celios Network. Today is November 21st, and I'm playing in the PokeX Online Series Expanded Regional today. This is the first expanded event with Vivid Voltage legal, as well as with the new bans. So Shaman EX, Milotic, Aranguru, and Sableye are banned. So this should be an exciting event. We've got 4 new cards banned. We've got a whole new set. And expanded isn't being explored too much these days, so I'm really excited to be a part of this event and see what decks win. I think there's a ton of decks with potential to do well today. So I wanted to show you my 3 top choices for the event today. I haven't had a ton of time to work on expanded, so I'm kind of going with decks that are a little bit more on the safe side. Maybe a little bit more boring than some of the other lists I do have available. I haven't really fleshed out those other lists. But if you are interested in my expanded and my standard lists, my patrons have access to all the lists I'm working on. I have a standard and an expanded spreadsheet available just for my patrons, and that's at patreon.com/Celios Network. You can subscribe to that for $3 a month to support my content and get access to my lists, blog posts, articles, things like that. But before we look at my 3 top choices for the event today, I'd like to shout out PotownStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes. Be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off. So this is the deck. This is deck number 1 of the 3 that I have been choosing between to play in today's tournament. This is Centigarb. So it turns out slapping a VMAX with a stage 2, with an old stage 1 that's really good is really good. We've seen this work with Dragapult Garbodor, now Centiskorch Garbodor. We've seen Eternatus Zoroark. We've seen Snorlax VMAX Zoroark. So, you know, new good VMAX paired with old good stage 1 card is kind of the formula here. This actually got 4th in the Limitless Weekly 7, I believe, which was expanded. Centiskorch Garbodor did, but I've changed the list up a fair bit. I really like Max Potion. I like Dowsing Machine. The Escape Rope is good against like corner shenanigans or block from Snorlax, so like stall things. But basically this is just like a beat stick and lock your opponent deck. You just set up a fat Senti and ability lock them and hope that's the end of it all. If they're able to combat you while you still have the ability lock up, then you can like retreat into a fresh Centiskorch and max pot the one you just retreated with, or you could even just have one Centiskorch, max pot it, get rid of all the energy, then welder attach, swing again for 160. So I really like the option of the max pot there. I think Acerola could also be good, but you would have to have had the other Centiskorch set up, so the fact that you need welder kind of makes Acerola a little awkward, whereas max pot really flows. So this deck list, there's not really much to talk about for the list, in my opinion. Oh, I also have the Parallel City, which was not in the original list, but I think this is nice because it allows you to get rid of your own 2 prizers, so you can limit your own bench to 3. Excuse me. So you can limit your own bench to 3 to remove targets for ADPZ, but you can also limit the opponent's bench against things like Eternatus and Snorlax VMAX. Yeah, it nerfs your damage by 20, but if you're nerfing their damage by 5 bench spots, I think that's worth it. So yeah, Centiskorch Garbodor has been testing really well for me, and it's kind of just it's a simple-ish deck. So waking up for a regional, Centiskorch Garbodor seems like a feasible deck to play. Next, we've got Eggrowl, and ironically, the reason I haven't just locked in Eggrowl is because of Centiskorch Garbodor. Because it's hard for me to handle that deck with Eggrowl. So Weakness Guard is Weakness Guard energy is a possibility. Weakness Policy is another possibility, but basically you would have to get the Decidueye with the Weakness Guard energy and hope that can survive their Volcanions. And actually you would need to set up 2 Decidueye. So I haven't made those changes to try to beat Centiskorch Garbodor because I'd rather just keep the good matchups everywhere else, because this is a super solid deck. But the 2 decks in The two decks I'm worried about when playing Aggro are Eternatus VMAX Zorark, because they play the Darkrai GX Darkrai GX Poison, and they also can just do a ton of damage out of nowhere, like if I get a slow start. And then, like I said, Scorch Garbodor for typing, and because they have Volcanion as a natural counter to Decidueye. So other than that, I think this is a super solid deck. I have the Vileplume GX, which in testing has been very nice against multiple things, and it's also just there specifically for the Dragapult Garbodor matchup, but it can be nice against a lot of things. Aggro, and in case you're new to Expanded, basically you just super growth up to either your basic lock Vileplume, your item lock Vileplume, or your Decidueye that can't be hit by V or GX, and then you wall them in some way or disrupt them with the item lock while you're just doing 150 and healing with Aggro every turn. It's really nice if you can get the item lock plus GX set up, and then you're healing a minimum of 60 every turn, so you're healing 30 with Vileplume, 30 with Calming Hurricane. So this deck I really like because there's a lot of minute decisions to make throughout the games, and it makes the game kind of slow, kind of like Luke Metal and Colossal do in Standard right now. But like I said, I kind of expect there to be a lot of Eternatus and Scorch, and that's the thing keeping me from locking this in. The last one is Pikachu Ram, and now I typically am not a Pikachu Ram player. I typically do not like Pikachu Ram in any format. I've been loving this list though. So the Pika VMAX is really nice to counter the Vileplume and Aggro, but it can also just one-shot a lot of significant Pokemon. It can one-shot Aggro, can one-shot Mewtwo and Mewtag team with an Electropower, one-shots ADP. So on turn 2, if you bench Pikachu V and go into Pikachu VMAX, G-Max Volt Tackle for just 2 energy and a Thunder Mountain, 1 power, you're just blowing up everything. Actually, to the point where I considered making a deck more built around Pikachu VMAX, but like I said, with my time constraints due to work and school and whatnot, I focused on Standard and haven't had the time to put as much effort into Expanded as I have with Standard recently. But yeah, I think an expanded deck with a 2-2 line of Pikachu VMAX actually has potential, because Pikachu VMAX has really stood out to me in this deck list as being very strong. Something else notable about my list, I always like to play Silent Lab in my Pika Ram lists because it turns off bench barrier, and then you can surprise them with that. So go Lab Tag Bolt when they thought they were safe with bench barrier. But yeah, this goes through Plume, and then this goes through Decidueye, so that makes your Aggro matchup winnable. This helps because there's a lot of Fighting Week stuff going on. Snorlax VMAX, Eternatus, the Mirror, Pikachu VMAX. And that's kind of it. So those are my 3 decks I've been selecting between for this expanded event. If you're watching this in like the hours after it uploaded, there's a very good chance I'm live streaming the event right now. So go check me out over at twitch.tv/Celios Network to see which deck I did select and see how my tournament run is going. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time here on Celios Network.